to submit your extended tax return is October 15, 2025, right now, next week, okay? For pass-through entity is already finished, right? If you have pass-through entity like S Corp and a partnership, the extended deadline was September 15. And this makes your last opportunity to file without facing penalties. So you want to know that October 15 is the drop dead date if you don't want to pay penalties. Understanding those key days will help you to stay compliant and avoid costly funds. So people say to me that, oh, Ying, if I got penalty, I must be getting audited soon because I got penalty. False. That is a false statement. Those penalties and interest charges that government gave to you is literally coming out of the computer program, and they have set up. The letters was printed out, and the signature was printed on it. Nobody, in normal circumstances, no human need to look at it. It's already mailed out to you. So penalty interest itself is not the trigger for you to be audited. To be audited, the trigger is your data you filed with IRS or with the state does not match to what the data they received from third party. What I mean by that is you may file your tax return saying your W-2 was $500,000, you got withholding $250,000. But IRS received your W-2 from the employer, says that your W-2 was only $50,000 and your withholding was only $2,000. So these W-2 getting into IRS system don't match. That is when you get audited. So data mismatch is the main reason to be audited, but not the penalty and the interest. All right. So what then you may say that, okay, to avoid the penalty and interest, that's why I filed extension. What are you talking about? I'm safe, I'm good. So what is the extension really means to you? When you file extension back in April, right? The IRS granted you additional time to complete and submit your tax return. Did you hear me? To complete and submit your tax return. IRS did not give you extension to pay the money later. So the extension is only extending reporting. It is essential to understand that extension provides more time to file, not more time to pay, right? Any taxes you owe will still due by the original due date, not the extension due date. If the payment wasn't made at that time, interest and a modest late payment penalty will start accumulating. The good news is by submitting your tax return by the due date, extended due date, October 15, you can still avoid a large failure to file penalty. That is the largest penalty you would have. You will still avoid that and remain good standing with IRS. IRS not gonna really see anything about you. They just know that you filed and you were late. There's a little interest, a little bit, a late payment penalty, that's all, right? But they're not giving you a failure to file penalty. Penalty and the consequences of missing the timeline, I laid out how they charge you right here. The failure to file penalty is the largest one, right? So that one typically is 5% of the unpaid taxes per month, up to a maximum of 25%. So what means that if you have $100 you owe, you just owe it, and 5% every month, and you owe it for a very good year and a half. The most is 25% of the 100, so you will need to pay $125. Make sense? So that is how the failure to file penalty. So one client asked me, I don't have money. I'm not gonna file, and what is the penalty? I always just use 25% times the amount that they owe and say that's how much you will be penalized. We're not talking about tax dollars, we're just talking about penalty. And ladies and gentlemen, your penalty, you cannot deduct taxes out of your penalty. The penalty is real after tax dollars to pay for it. You cannot take the penalty amount, plug that into your expense, say, oh yeah, that is my expense. No, that's not your expense. Penalty cannot be written into a expense. Okay. Say you filed on time, but you didn't make a payment. That is a failure to pay penalty. That is a lot less. That is 0.5% of unpaid taxes per month. It gives you 10 times more time to pay it. So the maximum is 25%, but nobody's going to go there unless you just decided not to pay, right? So you normally would get the calculation. You will see the money going up every time you receive the notice. Of course, we didn't even talk about interest. Interest is another item that will come into play just like you borrow money. In this case, if you don't pay taxes to the government, you effectively borrowing money from the government. So what do the government do? Give you an interest rate, right? You pay for it. You pay for interest. And the IRS interest rate is reasonable, right? They publish their quarterly interest rate all the time. So right now it runs about 8%. So those are reasonable rate. So interest is not something you need to worry because you effectively are borrowing the money because you don't pay the money. But the penalty is the thing that's in addition to the interest, right? So file your return by October 15 to eliminate failure to file penalty. And pay as much as you can to reduce failure to pay penalty. And also, on the same token, you will be saving your interest expense, right? So that's kind of the general concept that you got from this little bit of talk I have, right? You got it. So even if you cannot pay your balance, but don't delay on filing it on time, so we walk away from failure to file penalty. Of course, you will say that, well, I was in the hospital on October 15. How could I file it on time? What a good reason. That's what we call the reasonable cause. If you have a reasonable cause for the delay of filing, you can present that to IRS, present that to the state, ask for their gracious forgiveness. And normally you will get it because it is a reasonable cause. It is not on you. You're in the hospital. That's just an example, right? But of course, by saying that I just didn't catch the train, and so I didn't end up at my preparer's office, I don't know how to use electronic filing, signature stuff, I'm an old-timer, and I just, those are not reasonable cause. It's almost like to say that I don't speak English, so I don't really do right things here in U.S., and I don't file taxes, I don't even know what 1040 stands for. That's not a good excuse. And you are here, so that fundamental basics we all have to have. You need to speak English, you need to understand. If you don't, you get for help. If you don't know how to write subways and get guidance to write subways, if you don't know how to use the phone and the emails and learn how to use the phone and email, those are not reasonable costs. All right. Now, let's kind of dive in a little bit more on the 1040, right? For 1040, the extended due date, we already talked about individual, that's October 15. So why folks are, in addition to avoiding that failure to file penalty, your filing late can also, not only trigger the penalty, can also trigger the compliance side of an IRS program to act upon you. How do they do that? They actually have the third-party data coming in IRS under your Social Security number already. For example, if you're a construction contractor, you got 1099 NEC, and you are just like, well, I spent so much money doing my work. I didn't make any money. I'm not filing. But that's not what IRS sees. IRS saw the 1099 NEC filed under your name and you did not file tax return. What do? they take the whole amount to be your income. They charge income tax rate, they charge self-employment tax. There you go. You suddenly, for $10,000 income, you ended up needing to pay $4,000 tax. So those are the things. That is the compliance program. IRS is automatically triggered. Again, it is not about you don't file, nobody see me, I hide underneath. No, these are programs at IRS identifies people who receive income did not report taxes on it. So those are the things we tell our 1040, our individual taxpayer. At our firm, almost 99% of our clients are business clients, so they have businesses, then they have 1040, and we really care about the 1040 being filed according to what IRS has, right? If they have 1099 NEC on file, they have 1099K on file, they have K1 on file, we want to make sure your 1040 including all of that information. So sometimes we ask our client to do data match with us so we can match their data they give us with the IRS data the IRS has to ensure that you don't fall into these compliance programs. You don't want to get a CP 2000. Those letters are huge and big, and the estimated tax amount is huge. It often makes people more scared than even reading what's on there, right? So file your tax return on time, give yourself that peace of mind. And also, if you just don't think you got all the tax documents because you're so disorganized, or maybe because you moved 3 other states within the year, you don't even know where your stuff is anymore. And the best solution on that one is to request for data match service. And you can come to Community CPA. The data match service is our proprietary service we have in our firm. I know you go to KPMG, ask for data match service, they don't know what you're talking about. They may think you're speaking Chinese, okay? But that data match service is something that Community CPA developed for almost 20-some years. It's our proprietary service that we offer to our client. If you're interested in that, of course you can come to ask for that. It is really not expensive. It's very cheap. It's right around $100 for the company, and right around $200 for the individual with two people a couple. So it's very low cost. Is not something will charge you arm and legs on that. So this is another reminder for folks, because October 15th is coming around the corner. If you haven't really filed your tax return, now today you realize that you may be charged with 25% of the failure to file penalty, and you suddenly feel like, oh, I got a renewed energy to file my taxes right away, right now. And you can look at my list right here. Make sure you have all of them gathered, your W-2, your 1099, your K-1, and your expenses related to child tax, child care cost, and education credit, all of these stuff that you have there, and bring that in. If you don't want to come to our branches and go on to onboarding with us, upload your information. We will start working on your taxes, okay? Our promise is that we never turn our client away for the last minute, because we know when you come at the last minute, you are urgent, and we know that you don't have time to go to another CPA firm to say the same thing. So we understand, we value your trust with us, and we do our best to get it done. But again, in our team, we always say that if we have a choice, if we say that we got to get it done on the due date, but the other thing is that we may miss something, we couldn't really get it done on time, which way do we go? We actually will make sure that we will do rough calculation to make sure you don't subject to failure to file penalty at the same time, and we will try to get you filed as soon as possible if it is not October 15. Remember, it's charged by month, right? So, if you miss October 15, you have till the end of October to still have a very low charges on that, because it's by 5% per month on that charges, not 25%. So with that said, accuracy is important. We don't rush you just because 15 is tomorrow. We rush you, and we don't care what happened to you. We just file. No, we're gonna rush you, but with a solid, a solid benchmark for us, knowing that your tax return is accurate. And we won't sacrifice the quality to rush your tax return. The C corporation is another regular one that comes at October 15. If your C corporation year end is December 31st, 2024, so you have to file by October 15. Same thing, we want to make sure that you know that is your filing due date, file your return. So get away from the failure to file penalty. But if you owe taxes, you can always work that out. And at the same time, if you have no place to go and you didn't even have your finance done, I would want to say to business owner that you can rush, but you never want to sacrifice your quality. So make sure that you got your financial statement properly done before you go for 1120 filing. So important. On the 1120 filing, so many times I see those tax preparation, the people who did the tax preparation are really not trained to handle corporation filing. Their things are missing. And, if this goes on, I can guarantee our business owner that you will be audited. You're asking IRS to hurry up, audit me. I am doing it so wrong and you don't even care. That's literally what the tax return screams about. And I look at these tax returns, I feel worried for you because I want our business owners to be able to sleep. You engage us to do your taxes, you can sleep in peace because we do not send return that was not reviewed, that was not accurate. And we want our taxes to have the quality that we set out to do. All right. So you organize your financial statement, that's a must. You reconcile your payroll contractor, your 1099, 1096, and W-3, right? You want these numbers to coordinate. If you are in the sales tax imposed kind of business, you want to reconcile your sales tax expenses as well, but make sure the total sales should including everything because your 1099K includes everything. So you can subtract the rest of it from the bottom, but don't subtract it from the sales because the IRS are matching 1099K with the number you are reported. All right. So we have a slide here saying that what if, as a business owner, you are not ready to file? If you aren't ready to file and you need help to finish, we are here to help you. Like I said, we know that when people come to us last minute, it's not because you enjoy to give people a hard time at the last minute. We know that you are running to the end of the rope. Maybe your CPA just didn't have time to take care of you, but you are too anxious, you cannot wait, and you are here, right? So we will never push you away. You come, we will receive you. But our bottom line is we may not file you on October 15 because we want to get your financial statement done accurately. And by doing so, you may not even have the penalty you are imagining because you may not owe any tax dollars after a correct accounting financial statement are done, right? So make sure that you know to get, especially if you are in business, to get your financial statement done. That is so important. People think accounting is an overhead. No, accounting is your foundation. It's not your overhead. Accounting need to be budgeted in your operation from day one, just like you're paying chef to cook your meals. It's the same thing. So making sure your accounting is done right, and then make sure that you're matching to all your report. 941 quarterly, 941 add up, matches to what you report on the taxes, and sales tax matches, payroll matches, and your insurance matches. All of these things need to come through neatly on your financial statement. Then pay as much as you can. If you owe, that's okay. You don't have money, pay whatever you can, reduces the interest, reduces the late payment penalty. Okay? If you have to be late, then there may be options for abatement of being late. That's what we're going to look for you. when we work on your files. Work with a tax professional. I always say that because I see tax professional very differently from financial planner and also from the attorney. A tax professional, a real tax professional, they don't look at the future. They look at what you can gain today. Financial planner, to the contrary, they look at the future. They say, oh, don't drink Starbucks coffee. Now it's not $3.50. Now it's like $6. $6 per cup. If you put it away, by the time you retire, it's equals to $1 million. You see how they lead your mind to the future. Nothing wrong with that. That's one way to look at life. And your attorney has a different approach to matters. In attorney's world, you either a winner or you're a loser, right? Because that's what the attorney do. They make sure that you're my client, you're gonna win everything. Then another attorney representing your other party, and they will make sure they win for everything. That's how you get into a fight. That's how the court can get busy. That's a part of the business. Tax professionals are different. First of all, tax professionals are present people. We care about today's tax rules. If I can make you a refund for $10 today, I don't look at tomorrow for $50. I absolutely don't. Because tomorrow, some crazy president come on board can change everything, right? So the tax is really a man-made chaos. It can be a chaos, and it is meant to be a chaos. So with that said, you just benefit on what you have today. Don't look too far. Be a short visionary person when you are in tax world. And the tax professional will make a win-win situation for you. Tax professional will make sure you pay the fair taxes. The real tax professional, the ethical tax professional, don't cheat and lie with the government either. They want to make sure that you make your piece. The government rely on your accurate data to know that, okay, you only pay $20,000 this year. That's okay. That's fair. So the tax professional is making win-win on both sides. So these are the difference in professional. I'm not saying anything is wrong and they're supposed to be that way. They're supposed to be that way, but tax professional is this way. So I want you to work with a tax professional when it comes to taxes. That is why we have this slide saying that you need to work with tax professional. So they are trained to know today's rules. If we have been talking about OBBBA for so long, since January of this year, and if you have professional folks there who are not tax professional, they probably haven't even started to think about that yet, because they were thinking about that when 2026 come, because they have to deal with it. But your tax professional already start thinking about that. We are already building it in to your tax planning this year for 2025. At our firm, we finish tax planning in 2025. We don't do 2025 in 2026. We know what you pay. We know how you are doing. By the end of 2025, you are on the beach, we paid taxes, and we are enjoying life all the way to April 15 and March 15 of next year. So our busiest time at Community CPA is not tax season, it's right now. It's tax planning season, right? So I am just trying to give you my 2 cents on the tax professional, why we are different from other professionals, so you know why we are here, why we have this special vision, why we have this special methodology to bring you to the future success. Cash flow is everything. If we can save you money today, you have future. That's for sure, right? So tax professional is giving you that maximum benefit you can have today. And with our cash flow, you can dream your future any way you want it. You can bring the saving I gave you to the financial planner to start making more money. And you can bring the success to the lawyer to have them sell your company for a big price, right? So those are the things you can do with your other profession. But right now, right here, I'm asking you to work with tax professional, work with community CPA. Look ahead. Okay, Look ahead. Once your return is filed, it's perfect time to look for year-end tax planning. 2025 tax planning need to be done in 2025 because some of those tax reduction techniques can only be fulfilled when you still live in the time frame of 2025. So you go to 2026, some things still can be done for 2025, but not all things. But when we do planning, we mobilize all the tools for you, not just what's available. Everything under the universe, as long as it's a U.S. law, you are having it, right? So make sure that you're knocking our doors, making a phone call to our firm, and look at our partners list online, and make a video conference meeting with us. And a lot of times, around this time, I have people booking my time to simply review their tax return they did on TurboTax and Pro Series, all of these other tax softwares that we don't really use here. But I am trained by all of you. So people like to do their own taxes, so they just book my time and making me going through their taxes, giving them recommendations, getting their taxes done. Smart move, smart move. You don't have to do that with me. We have many tax professionals on the list. When you go to our website, you can choose any other tax professionals to help you to get that done. And our firm phone number is 515-288-3188. So remember that number, call us. We're 6 days a week. And from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday to Saturday, all year round. We don't have tax season. We just have tax professionals here to serve you at all time, whenever you need. So you can also email Catherine at communitycpa.com to talk about what you want to hear from our webinar, and we're here to serve you. We're here to give you free knowledge and to mobilize you to run far on the long journey on your business. All right, I'll talk to you again.